Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Each week while working on the new album, the Dead Milkmen ask each other a question. Previously on Big Questions.
So I'm wondering how you would feel if I took this with me overnight and brought it back tomorrow.
No!
This week's big question: if you could travel in time to any year, past or future, what year would you choose? And why?
You know, honestly, I gave this one the least amount of thought because I forgot about it.
And you made up the
You
question.
made the question.
I know. And I was trying to go for something that wasn't like puff, you know? So, but I just thought of it on the way here, and I was like, oh, so the day after I die. So I can see what happens, you know.
So you're talking tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow. So yeah, I realized, I didn't give it much thought, and then I thought it's quite thought-provoking, but I didn't give it much thought. So.
It is good. You might want to wait a little bit longer. You can see your grave, and you can find out what you died from, because that's, just saying. I'm thinking, yeah.
I'd want to have a say in what.
Wouldn't you be ongoing from there? Or would you only be there for like one day?
Oh yeah. I thought ongoing. I don't know. I guess it changes things if it's not. If it's just that day, that's no. I don't really want to see all that mess.
If it's not a very specific date or year, so we're just going to assign September 30th, 2039 to it. There you go. Yeah, just do the math. Yeah. Okay. All right, Dean. If you could travel backwards or forwards in time, what year would you go to, and why?
Yeah, I found this one very difficult. I do have two in the past. I think the future is hard because you could wind up materializing on Earth in a destroyed planet that there is no living thing whatsoever.
You mean present day Earth?
Yeah, right. I crossed out
Detroit.
Crossed out the future. So the two areas, or the two time periods that I'd like to go back to, or the first one would be the 1920s around in Paris, when the art scene was kind of exploding with the Cubism and all the art scene in Paris.
You're thinking about Josephine Baker and that banana dance, aren't you?
After the First World War, but before the Second World War. So that period of time would be interesting in Paris. Then the second time period would be kind of gritty but interesting. 1975, let's say, in Greenwich Village, New York. So I could hang out and see the Ramones and Blondie and the Mud Club and CB's all like exploding. Max's Kansas City. If I wanted to go even further back than that, maybe the 60s and the Factory and Andy Warhol and stuff.
Bring plenty of Quell shampoo with you, because you're going to get the crack. You are going to get the crack.
So that time period seems pretty interesting.
Okay, those are two very valid answers, which is rare for us. I'm going to swing the camera over here and talk to Mr. Joe. Joe, if you could travel backwards or forwards in time, what year would you go to, and why?
Well, I would travel forward in time, but only if I could have a return trip to now and be in the present again. I don't want to just materialize in the future and never come back. But I would go to November 4th, 2020.
November 4th, 2020, just to see how the election goes.
Yes, I would like to see that.
That would be good. And then you know whether or not you want to come back. Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go.
Then if they went the wrong way, I would like to also maybe go 100 years into the future, like 2120, and see how global...
I didn't say you could do it twice.
Yeah.
Well, then never mind.
You're really playing with the rules here, man.
Forget it.
Wait, no, but if you could. Go ahead. You don't have to.
Yeah, I do have to, because you started, you were pointing
what
things.
What global warming is doing and whether we solve the problem or how big of a problem it is. I'm curious about that. That's all.
Okay. All right,
So I have a question about, before you go, Rodney, I have a question about, so if we travel in time, would we retain the knowledge that we have gained already now?
I'm going to explain a lot of this.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Are you doing a timey-wimey thing?
I'm going to have to go timey-wimey here, folks. Sorry about that. Hey folks, me, Rodney, just want to explain a couple things. I know that the vast majority of our fans are indeed theoretical physicists. We've taken a look at the charts and everything. Before you flood the comment section, I am acutely aware of the fact that you cannot travel back in time to a point before you built your time machine. As Einstein showed, when you build a time machine, you basically create a closed loop. Not unlike the awesome looping water slide they used to have at Action Park. You guys know Jill from Hot Breakfast? She has a scar on her arm from when she went to Action Park as a kid.
Park. It was
Action Park.
Concrete,
or Traction Park. It has a lot of names. All right, so you can't travel back in time. So if you build, what we got now? It's about 10 after 7. So if you build if you finish building your time machine at 10 after 7 on Thursday night, which is what we have, you can't go back before 10 after 7 on Thursday night. So that's kind of established. Now, this also, if you need proof, in 2009, Stephen Hawking held a party for time travelers. He sent out invitations in 1992 saying, hey, in 2009, I'm having a party. I want all you time travelers to be there. And he wound up just sitting there alone, little hat on, little noisemaker. But Stephen Hawking, he can still have a good time, I'm sure. He's a very smart guy. It also explains why there's no package tour to go kill Hitler. For example, like, you know how they have the tour, if you go up to Mount Rushmore now, there's a big line? If there were time machines, there would be a line of people to kill Hitler. It would be like in Airplane, where everybody's like, they're slapping the woman, they got the big line, people are putting on brass knuckles, getting out the pipe. So you literally, I know some people think that the Titanic sank because of the weight of all the time travelers who went back to see the iceberg. No, you cannot. Yes, Dean has a question.
Question. So if Joe wants to go to November 4th,
Yeah.
right? So if he builds his time machine tonight, he can go to November 4th and figure out what happens, and then he can come back to this time maybe tomorrow, and I'm not going to say how, but he might be able to change the way the election turns out.
Well, sorta. Actually, you can go forward. In fact, people go forward all the time. The International Space Station, because of the speed it moves at, we've actually had the twin paradox, where one twin actually wound up being younger than his older brother, because he was born a few minutes after him, because of the fact that it moves backwards, so time on Earth would move faster than on the International Space Station. You can indeed, if Joe builds his time machine. In fact, let's find out now, because if we have the time machines built, future Rodney is going to come through that door right now and announce that the time machine works. Okay, no future Rodney. And the thing is that we can just assume that future Rodney, knowing how much present Rodney enjoys being right, would in fact come in and say, that man is right. So, yes, Joe could, if he builds a time machine tonight, as long as the time machine exists, and that's kind of iffy, November 4th, 2020, he could indeed go forward, see who wins, come back to tonight and tell us. But we couldn't do anything about it, because your future can't affect your past. This goes into what's called the bootstrap paradox and the second law of thermodynamics. The bootstrap paradox is, I show up and I say, hey, look, Rodney, right here, this keyboard, I built this, it'll take you back in time. I'm your future self. And I go, oh, great. Problem is this. Keyboard's all covered with junk from me typing and adjusting things and turning the knobs to travel in time. I haven't touched it yet. Where did that stuff come from? Violates the second law of thermodynamics. You can't change the past. So Joe could go forward and tell us what happens, but there's nothing we could do about it. And then who's going to believe Joe anyway? Nobody. So the answer to the question is, if I could go forward, because I've got all this keyboard stuff, I could build a time machine. If I go forward, this is where I would like to go. At 10 p.m. this evening, I'm going to be sitting at home with a glass of wine watching Project Runway. I don't want to go any further in the future. Dan wants to go to the day after he dies, but I'm afraid if I go too far in the future, somebody will walk up and go, Rodney, haven't seen you in 20 years since Wild Dogs ripped you apart. Because that's going to mess with me. I'm not going to have a good time. So I will be traveling to the future. I'll be the first one to get there, according to the plans here. And that'll be tonight at 10 o'clock. I should be having a glass of wine and watching Project Runway. Hopefully I won't be all alone like Stephen Hawking.
Project Runway.
What? I love Project Runway.
It's a plug.
It's the best show on TV. I'm wearing a Michael Kors jacket. He used to do stuff like, my God, it looks like a hooker on her way to the St. Patrick's Day parade.
You think Einstein walked around thinking everyone was a bunch of dumb shits?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Now you know why you built that bomb.
Really good episode of Project Runway. Oh, and after it's over, I'm going to travel back in time and kill Hitler.